A youth justice advocate who was Dylan Voller's caseworker for 7 years has told a royal commission that the detainee was set up to fail in prison. Antoinette Carroll is giving evidence to the commission about Mr Voller's treatment inside the Northern Territory's juvenile detention centres. Reporter Nadia Daly has been following the inquest and joins me now from Darwin. Nadia, great to see you again. What has Dylan Voller's caseworker been saying today?
Good afternoon, Kumi. Well, we've heard about Dondale in the Royal Commission, but today we're moving to Alice Springs to hear more about the youth justice and the child protection system there. And as you said, Antoinette Carroll is a youth justice advocate and caseworker in Alice Springs. She has been Dylan Voller's caseworker for the past 6 or so years. And we heard from Dylan Voller yesterday a lot of his evidence, a former child detainee, and one of the most anticipated witnesses in the commission. Now, Antoinette Carroll has been talking about Dylan's earlier life and his earlier interactions with the child protection and justice system. He spent a lot of time in his childhood in the youth child protection foster care homes, residential care homes, and she said early on, having contact with these child protection systems and the justice system, she saw that the system wasn't prepared to deal with the sort of problems, the behavioural problems he presented with, and in that way she says the system essentially failed him because early on there were problems that were evident and they weren't able to be dealt with, and soon from the age of 12 he was first found himself in child prison there at Alice Springs. She said there was a lack of therapeutic problems to deal with these behavioural issues, which then I suppose became worse over time. She also made one interesting point just earlier. She said when she met Dylan Voller, he wasn't a violent child, and Antoinette Carroll, his caseworker, said Dylan Voller only became violent after he spent time in detention. So it was her lawyer asked her why, and take a listen.
My observation is that he, again, when you look at the footage that everybody has seen, that's been, you cannot take into, you know, they're big men that are essentially dealing with a very small child. So I think some of that has been very learned behaviour in that environment.
And Nadia, did Antoinette tell us anything about Dylan Voller's time in detention?
She did indeed, Kumi, and just there when she was talking, she was referring to some of that vision in the Long Four Corners program that led to this Royal Commission. She did say when she visited him in detention, she saw the guards taunting him and reported it. She painted a rather bleak picture of youth detention here in the Northern Territory and the sort of services that are available to children with problems. And in fact, she said they were very lacking. She made the point that after a child has gone through the youth detention system, they've served their time, there's a real lack, according to her, of reintegration programs or plans really to I guess, ease them back into society, especially in Dylan Voller's case. We heard he's now an adult prisoner, but the last time he was in prison, we heard around half the time he was in there was spent in complete isolation in an isolated unit. Now, he was put there because of various behaviours he displayed. Either he was seen to be at risk to himself or to others, but he spent around half his time in those isolated units and then was released straight back into society when his sentence ended. And that Antoinette Carroll was asked about that practice, and I guess asked you know, about whether that's a good thing, not just for the prisoner but for the society they're going back into. And so she had this conversation with a senior counsel assisting the Royal Commission.
Effectively going from isolation to
Community.
To the community. Could that ever be a good idea under any sort of release plan?
Clearly not, because he's really entered back into the criminal justice system. So.
OK, Nadia Daly, really appreciate the update. Thanks so much.